Today on Grow, Steve and I are actually together in Grand Island this time.
At the National Junior Angus Show. We've got more than 800 competitors, more than 1,200 head of cattle. We're going to take a closer look at the Angus breed, but some of the genetics and the different things they're trying to do to advance their side of the beef industry.
And of course ahead we have a big decision on GMOs. That's in Washington, D.C. as well. And we're going to take a look at the lake levels of Lake McConaughey.
Irrigation, what is that doing to things? What are the lake levels looking like? We're going to take a look at all of that.
And there's different challenges ahead. So join us here. Get ready to grow. Here at the National Junior Angus Show in Grand Island. Big deal for the area as well, Steve.
Yep, and we're going to be checking in throughout this episode of Grow, a little closer into the Angus Association and all of the different things that go on at a big show like this one.
Absolutely. Right now, though, Steve's going to fill you in on your headlines for the week.
Thanks, Marilyn. Our top story, crop damage following the double whammy of wind and hail. Roger Schaefer says there's no use crying over spilled milk at his farm on the Adams-Hall County line. He hopes soybeans will pull through and still give him something to harvest this fall, but back-to-back storms have taken a toll.
Well, we had 2 nights of it. First night was basically a hailstorm. Second night was more of a wind and hail situation. I mean, one of them chewed it up and the other one blew it down.
Corn that's leaning might stand back up, but agronomists say the combination of wind and hail punished nodes on the plant, and that can be a recipe for disaster. Farmers will now need to watch for disease and protect every plant that's still standing.
The question is now is what do you do with what's left? It's do you try to raise what's left or you just let it go? Who knows? I mean, we'll see what future brings, I guess.
An agronomist shared these photos from the Prosser Juniata area. Corn that was a matter of days from tasseling over your head has been mowed down just thigh high. Some will be cut for silage. Extension educators report corn damage around Henderson as well. In many cases, the crops were looking good. Farmers had already invested a lot of time and money to get to this point, but instead of taking corn to the elevator, farmers now talk to their banker and insurance agents. And the U.S. Senate passes a national GMO labeling policy. That legislation requires food packages to carry labels listing genetically modified ingredients. It's less strict than the one currently in place in Vermont. Some senators argued the bill falls short, saying federal governments would not be consumer friendly. When it comes to those labels, a new survey says they can mislead consumers. Products labeled as containing GMOs were often perceived as less safe, worse for the environment, as well as less healthy and nutritious. An MSR study found 73% of respondents would be less likely to buy labeled food. The American Soybean Association points to that data as evidence of the potential negative impacts of that law. Another input, water and irrigation definitely picking up steam. The third run of the irrigation season began Monday, reported by Central Nebraska Public Power and Irrigation, although demand is relatively low due to recent rainfall and cooler temperatures. CNPPID expects irrigation activity to pick up over the next couple of weeks as temperatures rise. As for the source for many irrigators, Lake McConaughey still seeing high levels, but there are challenges ahead. Elevation sits at around 97% capacity. CNPPID reports lower than normal inflows and low irrigation demands in the Platte Valley. Those levels are expected to drop once irrigation picks up. The next challenge is to bring elevation down by October while fitting in time for outages at the hydro plants for maintenance projects. Recent rains have helped ease drought conditions, but the problem persists. Moderate drought has popped up in the Tri-Cities. It raised a few concerns starting last week. This week, 30% of the state in drought. Last week, though, it was 35%, so a slight improvement. But recent rains were no drought buster. It appears it'll take more to snap out of this. And as drought starts to creep back into the picture, producers can now harvest hay on Nebraska right-of-ways. The State Department of Roads says landowners have until the end of the month to get a $40 hay permit and start harvesting on July 15th. The permit only applies to state highways, not interstates or freeways. The Roads Department says any hay harvested without a permit becomes the property of the states. Progress on Kansas farms, where now 80% of the wheat harvest has been cut. That's on point with the 5-year average for this time of year, according to the National Ag Statistics Service. Harvest is almost wrapped up. 90% of crops are in the bin across Kansas. Conditions aren't bad either. Favorable updates for corn, soybeans, and sorghum. There's beef, and then there's Angus, and then there's certified Angus. We're here at the National Junior Angus Show. Here's more. Pausing for a quiet moment before competition. Callie Easton of Virginia leads her heifer into the ring. The goal, find the best cattle in the most popular beef breed. With more than 1,200 Angus cattle entered here, competition is fierce.
I would say it's pretty tough just because everybody's here for the same reason. They love their cattle and they want to do the best they can, so they're raising the best that they can.
Known for their black hides, cattlemen say Angus do a lot of things well.
They're a really good maternal cow side, and also they do well in producing a great end product.
And the Angus Association takes things another step, turning the breed into a brand, certified Angus beef.
The Angus Association for years has put a lot of money into the Certified Angus Beef program, and they have built that brand that is not only known nationally but internationally for its high quality standards, and they've done a really great job of standing behind that over the years.
So while fast food burgers might be marketed as Angus, certified Angus recognizes meat that's more tender and meets more rigid standards. In fact, only 1 in 4 Angus animals qualifies for the designation.
It shows quality and consistency.
So when Callie Easton wins her class at the Junior National Angus Show, she's all smiles, the best of the best in one of the most prestigious events in the beef world.
I honestly think it's a big deal because it has cattle from all over the nation.
This show serves up beef with a side of fun.
Beef, go, 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 go.
Song and dance routines set the stage for a beef cook-off earlier this week. It's a chance for kids to show off their creativity, while at the same time learning how to convey their message in a world where many consumers don't know anyone who raises cattle.
Whether they live in town or a city, their friends or cousins or other different family, friends, relatives, get to go ahead and go back home and relay their knowledge about and be ambassadors to the livestock industry.
It was the 33rd Angus Cook-Off. Cattlemen say it's grown into one of the most popular contests at their show and helps kids connect with consumers. Much more from this big Angus show when we come back.